Welcome to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we dive deep and answer the ultimate question: how did you hack into tech sales? Each week, we bring you inspiring stories, proven strategies, and insider tips from top performers who've cracked the code to break into tech sales and thrive. Whether you're just starting out, making a career pivot, or ready to level up, this is your go-to space for actionable advice and real-world success stories. Let's crack the code together, because hacking into tech sales isn't just a dream, it's your next move. Now with your host, the founder of Tech Sales Funnels and the tech sales hacker himself, Dayvisson Dasilva.
All right, okay, let me restart this. Welcome everyone to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast. Dayvisson here, the Tech Sales hacker, and today I have a really special guest, Sarab. He's a friend of mine from Microsoft. He actually inspired me to start this podcast. I have two people who inspired me. One was my friend Donald, who I already interviewed. He was the first speaker, and now him. Sarab, he's amazing what he does inside of Microsoft, but also he does all sorts of stuff. I don't know if we'll have time today, but today he's going to talk a little bit about his journey and how he started in this universe of technology in sales, and then now he's a Microsoft lead, in strategy lead. He's going to talk about that. So let me bring him to stage so he can introduce himself. I'm going to take from there. All right. It's my buddy here. Sarab, how are you today?
I'm good, Dayvisson. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited for our conversation.
I love your background, by the way. It looks like you're a podcaster or something.
You got it. Yes. And people who are watching, I do run a podcast myself. It's called Let's Talk Podcast. And talk is a TikTok talk. So Let's Talk Podcast. If you search on YouTube or Anchor or Spotify, you will get my podcast. It's all about stories, just the way what we are having these conversations here. And the philosophy is always, we don't give solutions, but we give directions, because strongly believe at least that people have their own solutions. Being a human being, every human being is unique, but the wisdom and direction is something which is important. And that's where we bring a lot of experts like you we had in our previous episode. So please go ahead and watch that episode as well, where Dayvisson has really provided a lot of his journey and golden nuggets about the sales in general as well.
I love it. And I remember when I had the interview, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about a podcast. I'm going to bring you in. And here we are. I'm so grateful that you made the time today. And since that time, when I want to talk to my kids, I'm like, hey, let's talk. And I have a podcast name in my head. It was awesome, man. First, can you tell us a little bit who you are, just high level, so we can understand a little bit more about you, for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to dive into the question of the podcast, which is, how did you hack into tech sales? How did you hack into the world of technology? So first, let's hear a little bit more about you as a person.
Sure, definitely. So just a regular guy has maybe some 10 or 15 years back, having a usual life. We're just being drifted based on what the outcomes are. Not much into like, what is my life about? I was just going through, as what we say, as the wind flows. And so I joined Microsoft around 2011 timeframe. So close to, 13 years and some 8-10 months here. So it's been a while. Mm-hmm. And before that, I had already worked some of my different organizations, but it was pretty unstable resume because I didn't stay for more than 2 years, for that matter. But there are a lot of stories around this. But long story short, while I was working, I got an opportunity to move from Microsoft India to Microsoft US in 2014. So I came to Microsoft US in 2014 and start working as some of the field engineer. I do have a lot of support at at the time, talking to different customers over phone. So I started my journey of, or I would say, my professional life as a phone support guy, and that
Okay.
obviously gave me a lot of perspective. If people who are listening and may have a voice based support, they must have seen sometimes when you pick up the call on the other side, people are pretty much shouting, or they have, I mean, they are
Yeah.
not happy. And then at the same time, you really have to work through your way out. And that helps me out to understand a bit more on human psychology side of the house, which obviously helped me shape some of my thought process. But as I went came to the US, that gave me a lot of perspective in the way that I also developed a lot of other activities in my life, which gave me some perspective. And I'm a firm believer that what you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Mm,
It basically means that even
interesting.
though you do different kind of activities in your life, your mind is one, or your brain is one, is a singular thing. What exactly happens that all the activities you do is the outcome of your mindset.
Mm,
So it helps me to develop some of the things around human psychology, hardship, pain. So I did a lot of hiking, running. I'm a marathon runner as well. I'm into
nice.
music. So these are the things which really helped me to cultivate some of the parallel thing. But then, while I was working on those things, one of my strengths were, while I was trying to work on, to look into what the strengths, because that is, every person has some superpower. It's just like sometimes people chase because those use as a vanity
Mm-hmm.
them, or some people try to really find their superpower. So that is something which I was trying to work on, is my ease talking to the people, and then try to find some of the real challenges, being more towards reframing the question sometimes when I don't understand, rather than in a typical, when we all grew up in a scenario where if someone asks you a question, you have to answer them,
Mm,
rather than reframing or paraphrasing, or try to analyze or try to get some more clarity. And these, what are the things I'm saying, these are some of the areas what, as a true salesperson or the people, those abilities are. And that's where I started working on my sales. I started my real estate uh,
oh, okay.
company in 2018, but before that I was still working on it. But when I started working on that, and started investing in properties, I started to double down on communication skills,
Mm,
having active listening, understanding people much more in depth, and my previous experiences around how to deal with the customers when they are irate, or when they are not getting the way they're supposed to, and try to empathize, and
mm-hmm.
all those things. So yeah, that's helped me to get into the sales. And over the period of time in Microsoft, I also start working with a lot of salespeople and try to find that. And again, I'll stop because I'm talking for a while. But one of
Very good.
one of the things which I really find, that sales and marketing is something which we always deal throughout our life. It's just like sometimes we are not getting money out of it. We are not professionals.
Interesting.
So we always have, when you try to get a toy as a kid with your parents, you try to persuade them in different ways. Isn't that sales? Isn't
My
that
kids are the best sellers here, man.
yes. So we always do that. It's just like we have to utilize those things and look in a different frame. And that's when I started learning. We found that sales is a life skills. It's about time management. It's about persuasion skills. It's about decision making, a lot of things around that. So that's how basically I start working. In a nutshell, I would say that your mindset decides whether you would be a good salesperson, whether it's in a technology or otherwise.
Wow, I love. Hey, if you just started listening in this minute now, I have to go back to like 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago. He just summarized. Sarab just summarized what it takes to be in sales. Like all those transferable skills, soft. We like to call soft skills the mindset of a seller. and he told his story as as moving up, customer service, dealing with conflict management. All those things are super important for you to be successful in a sales role. So sometimes if you're listening to this right now, if you wonder like, hey, can I really do sales? Can I really be in this industry? If you that if you have some of those skills that he just described, you're like halfway there. Immigrant of America, not an easy country to immigrate to. I'm an immigrant myself. There's a lot of things that you need to learn and you have to adapt. So to be successful in America in a corporation like Microsoft, so Sarab was able to master that skill as
I
well.
don't know,
So
master, but I'm still on the way.
we're still learning, right? It's it's
Yes.
it's part of life.
Yeah.
But hey, I love how you started like that, like how to be the skills, transferable skills, and all that, how to get into tech sales. I want to hear more like now the technical part of. You moved to USA already at Microsoft, but how did you hack into Microsoft? How you can even start back in India or whatever. How did you get your job at Microsoft? People want to hear that today.
Yeah, so that's a good. Actually, I have a great perspective. Let me just take you around 2009, 10 timeframe. I was working with one of the organization, or even I would say before that, 2008, when I was working with one of the sister concern of Microsoft, where I got introduced with Microsoft servers. And
Mm,
then at that time, it was 2003, and 2008 was just about the new one. And then when I started working in that organization, I got the true power of Microsoft, what this organization is all about. And gradually, I started dreaming about being in
mm,
Microsoft. So, what exactly I did is I started giving interviews. So, one of the mentors back in the day, he said that you can procrastinate and wait for the best time throughout your life, or you can just do action and just get into that with an expectation that even if you do not convert it, this opportunity, at least you learn something around it. So just don't
powerful.
go with that pressure. Just try to go and give the interview and see where you are. So I
Mm,
said, okay, let's do that. I did. First time attempt, didn't go through. And then I got to know that every 6 months, there's a cooling period back in the day where you can reapply to Microsoft. I
interesting.
said, okay. What I did every 6 months, I started giving interviews. And you know how many times I was, I mean, they were at that time, they were like 6 to 7 round of interviews. Sometimes
Wow.
didn't go through after third or fourth. And then it happened 4 times, which means in the span of 2 or 2.5 years, I was
Okay.
already didn't I wasn't selected 4 times. But then something changed
Mm,
on the fifth time when I was totally stopped about like Microsoft. Okay, I think it's fine. Let's go on. And I was in that city. I was about to settle in a way that I purchased an apartment, and I thought that I will be settling here. An opportunity came. Someone mentioned that Microsoft is coming on site in this particular hotel, and they are doing those on site interviews. Back in
okay.
the day, I was doing all the telephone or those round of interviews where I didn't go through. I said, okay, I'll give a last attempt. I
Yeah.
went there without any expectations. I said, that's fine. I can give. I didn't even prepare properly. But because obviously I was working in the Microsoft technologies, I always have some answers to give.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, it has 7 interviews. On the seventh round, which was the last round, got through the whole day of interviews. Those senior leaders asked, like, why you would like to join in Microsoft? So I said, first of all, if you see my previous record, please go and check with your HR as well. I didn't go through for the last 4 attempts. So my perseverance and focus approach today, this is the first time I'm here in the last round. And they were like, oh, okay. Then one of the guy, while we were doing interview, he even go back and checked. He said, yes, he's right. every 6 months he was trying. So I'm pretty impressed with that way that you didn't
Wow.
lose hope. And that is how I got into Microsoft on my fifth attempt. And that is the story.
Wow, I absolutely love it. And as you were telling your story, I was having flashbacks of my own journey. It took me about 2 years at Microsoft. I interviewed 4 different roles. In fact, the manager who hired me had said no in one of the roles that I applied, and then I reapplied again after being accepted in another organization. And then they're like, "Dave, I'm so glad you reapplied because a lot of people give up." And because they didn't give up, we now, that was the right timing. So everything just went like 1 week, and I got my offer. And but that story that you just shared, your story, my story shows everyone here. You try to crack in our organization, hack into an organization that is accepting hundreds, if not thousands, of applications every single day globally. Now, recently listed number one, the place to work. Can you imagine, like, even more applications now? It it takes a great, it takes a personality of perseverance. Your example, I hope, hopefully whoever is listening here now, it's giving hope to other people who have applied to Microsoft, multiple times, who's still trying. Don't give up. If he said something very important, that he had this, sometimes it talks about like his strong desire.
Mhm.
uh, and then he started visualizing and then seeing himself at Microsoft. And once he made that decision, then he started his process.
Yeah. So that manifestation, which always
Yes,
happens when you try to have a strong desire and work towards that. Yes.
exactly. I love it. And I tell people when I coach these days, and they want to work for Microsoft. I actually received my offer letter 1 year before I got my actual offer letter. I was driving on my way to work at IBM, and I was thinking about Microsoft a lot. I was like, I want to work at Microsoft. And I literally saw that email coming as driving. I started crying and happy at the same time. I I visualized that like happening, and I had goosebumps. I was like so happy. I was like, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time now. I know it's gonna happen, and I just continue. A year later, I got my actual email. So hey guys, visualization does help. It does. You need to have a strong desire, but you have to keep trying. You have to keep working. Just gotta put the work. So thanks so
Oh,
much for
yes.
sharing that.
Definitely. I
Yeah,
just would like to add one more thing
tell me
on
more.
this.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is I love about, so there is a entrepreneur and a great philosopher. His name is Naval Ravikant.
Yes.
Please, everyone, if you haven't, just try to search him. Amazing man, wise words. One of the wisest men, I would say. I'm very much inspired by him. He always mentioned that failures, don't took failures as, I mean, there are different interpretations. Some people say failure as stepping stone to success. Okay, but take failure as experiments, and see, because these failures, if you take it, oh, this is like one and done approach, then it takes a toll on your mindset. A lot of things happens over the period of time. But if you take it as an experiment, then you start working and thinking as a scientist,
Mm.
and then your whole perspective changes. So that's what I just would like to mention about this amazing person and his quotes. Yeah.
Thanks for making that reference, and I 100% agree. Th- for example, especially for people who are looking for jobs, like because you're applying so many places and getting so many no's, you have to take in the mindset that you're learning throughout the process. Don't take that no as maybe it's no, not now, but then your yes is gonna come, and everything's an experiment. My son the other day asked, "Hey, can you make the lemonade for dinner?" And then I love cooking. I teach my kids how to cook,
Uh-huh.
and he put like a whole can of condensed milk, you know. And then he's like, "Oh, I totally ruined this thing." I was like, "No, it was just supposed to be one spoon." I was like, "Oh, I ruined it." I was like, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's just 3 limes, one condensed milk, one can. It's an experiment. Cooking is an experiment. If you failed, you try again. You change the ingredient. It's just life." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So he he took as an experiment instead of like trying to be perfectionist in making the right lemonade, right? And it turned out to be just fine. So that's I love the insight, Sarab, and Naval, right?
Yeah, Nawal Ravikant,
I
and
have seen some.
yeah.
Yeah, he
So
has a couple of books on YouTube, and I have listened to a couple of them. It's amazing.
oh yes, so his book, one of the book is the Almanac of Nawal Ravikant, and anyone
Mm,
you can anyone who is listening to they can try to kind of search his book. Amazing small book. All his wisdom is through the podcasts and other places where he has provided. One gentleman has collated all those things. It's not, I think, if I recall, not written by him, but a person who heard his all these great golden nuggets about life and philosophies.
I love it, and you can see here that we're getting way. Um, that's one of the things I love in tech sales and in
Mhm.
sales in general. And the people who are in tech sales, they come from all over the place. Nobody grew up saying like, "Hey, I'm going to be a tech seller. I'm going to be in tech sales technology." This industry is like 20, 30 years old. Like so, different backgrounds. You already talk about you do some real estate. I do coaching. I have done. I'm a cook. I do different things. So this is one of the advantages and usually the people who are in sales, they're like usually entrepreneurial overachievers. They have this mindset of trying and setting up goals. So if you are that type of mentality, like here's your tribe, right? You'll find all sorts of interesting people. I love those conversations. Every podcast is being like you're taking this in a really in the light that I love it, because you're bringing the actual like a lot of the soft skills that we should have as a seller during the application preparation and to be successful. Now let's transition. You are I'm looking here right here on your LinkedIn, strategy leads Microsoft security business. Um, what is this business all about? Maybe you can give a highlight, and then what's Microsoft all about these days? Because if someone is trying to get a job at Microsoft, what kind of jobs what kind of knowledge and understanding they should be considering, right? A lot of people, I tell people, you don't have to be too technical, but you have to at least understand the basics. And what are those basics? What would you recommend people?
Definitely. So it's a pretty open, wide spectrum question. So let me just try
Yeah.
to give first start with one sentence that before being a tech savvy, you have to be human first, which means
Okay.
that you have to make sure that you have those skills of active listening, situational fluencies, because once you have those kind of skill set, you can maneuver around any, I would say, uncharted waters or any untoward
Mhm.
incidents which you have seen in the life, because your foundation is very strong. So considering that part, so everyone has to think from that. Now, what exactly I do? I'm on the post-sales side of Microsoft Business, where I'm. This is at this moment. I assist the internal management to achieve some of their business goals of Microsoft security business out there. And
Mhm.
in order to land this job, obviously there were different things which everyone has to go through. Obviously, I cannot much reveal in what exactly the internal dynamics and how exactly, but the
Mhm.
same what have explained is the same thing which I did. One of the I would say big advocate of communication in this perspective is I broadcast what's in my mind, which means that if I'm looking for a certain role, I always mention to everyone, even though
Mhm.
they are not related, because you never know, they can be a good hop to get me a role. And I always give this example, and this is very important for everyone who is looking for jobs, is if you talk to a person and say, I'm looking for a job, they say, "Good, Davison.
Anything
All the
is.
best. Good for you. I'll be rooting for you." This is one communication. Okay. The second one is, "Hey, Hey, Saurabh, I'm looking for a job in cybersecurity somewhere maybe around New York region. And I have like 7, 8 years experience. So maybe some practitioner in cybersecurity is something which I gravitate towards because that's where my skill set is. Now,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, the conversation changes because now what happens? Saurabh is thinking now, New York. And this is the way how the brain works, right? Cybersecurity, New York, practitioner, maybe, or I know one of my friend who lives in New York. I don't know about whether he works in cybersecurity. Would you be interested in talking to him? Maybe he knows someone.
Boom.
There you go. So what
Yeah.
happens? You are being advocate, you are broadcasting, and you are giving certain checkpoints, which helps for a person who is hearing, his brain starts working. And this is something not everyone does. I mean, this is a human thing. If you give details, people in, I would say, any human being is automatically tries to help other human being. That is our
Nature,
a
primal
very
nature.
inherent nature, yes, but you have to give more details. So this is one thing which I always did, which helped me throughout my career. So that is
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I would say, and this is something which I have done. Now coming to how to land jobs in Microsoft, again, there is not something always related because Microsoft is a big organization, and we
Mm-hmm.
have different departments, different way of achieving a similar goal. Now, for a person who's looking for a job, the first thing is ensure that you know what company stands for. For example, what our mission statement is, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where everything boils down. And if I would be a person who's looking for a job, not only I'll try to search through what that organization is all about, but I also try to look into uh, the division, department, technology I'm trying to get into, what exactly they are doing at this point. And now, back in the day, we didn't never had it. LinkedIn is one of the best ways, and you can
Yeah.
talk to Davison. He has such an excellent
I'm glad
LinkedIn
he knows that
presence
word,
here.
empty.
so, so, so always think that in the sea of hundreds and thousands of resumes, why someone would select you. So
Mm.
when you ask this question, then you try to fit into the shoes of the person who is looking on the other side. Then I would
Yes.
say that okay, if if I select Saurabh or Davison or any like people, hundreds of him, one of the thing which you might have to look into is people might have resumes, but in the era of social revolution, you have to make sure your LinkedIn profile is professional, up to date, to the point. And I always mention wherever I go to, and specifically when I go to a lot of universities out here locally, is
Yeah.
you have to create your history. And what
Mm.
exactly it means is if you are in the world, for example, in cybersecurity, provide your thoughts, provide write an article. If you see, for example, there are a lot of LinkedIn news comes in, what's your thought, what's your perspective? Because how a person who is filtering through the funnel process will look into whether I would be looking for Davison or Saurabh. They can look into
Mhm.
only, maybe one of the way is to see LinkedIn. Oh, Davidson has a lot of articles. He has so much of thought, which means this guy is a thinker. He's not only just going through the motions of being reactive to look into those certain job opportunities. So this person would be better suited versus Saurabh, who I don't see much of his LinkedIn
Mhm.
presence. So these are some of the things you can provide. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Share the articles, put your thoughts, and sometimes even provide, because always remember the people in your generation, if you are in subsequent generation, they would like to see what this person is thinking, because what I think, what maybe Davison you are thinking, maybe we are based on our belief systems of the past. We may not be 100% resonate with the people who are 20 years old. So while we always coach them and provide wisdom, eventually they also have to look into what is their contemporaries doing. So
Mhm.
these are some of the things they can try to make sure, and always think from the both sides. Don't always think about why no one is reaching out to me. think that am I lacking something? If I
Yeah.
look from the other side, my resume, my presence, my communication is all up to date. If the answer is no,
Love
that is
it.
the time you have to work towards.
I love it, man. You should come coach with me, man. Come.
I don't know. I mean,
Hey,
just
just give a master class here of how to stand out from the crowd, very specific examples and how you should do it. And you can clearly see that in order for him to be a strategy lead, he was able to apply himself all those techniques. He's speaking from experience, and
yeah.
he's a
I mean,
pro.
obviously,
I
this is something which I've learned. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, totally.
So,
And you're totally no, you're totally fine, and you are an official tech sales hacker right now because I can see that you mastered the skills of hacking to the system and growing and be able to promote yourself as well. So which sometimes people can get inside, but they don't find their way around, and that's a very 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 valuable skill.
and
Um,
one thing I would like to say, maybe your listeners will love. What is hack? HACK.
tell me,
H
tell me,
is
tell me, tell me.
holistic. ACK is acknowledgement. So that's what we are doing, and it's hacking is just thinking and just I would say swimming uh, in a different direction what the flow of the river is. So while everyone tries to go with the flow, you are doing
I
something different.
love.
Is hacking.
I'm gonna have to steal that one. Ah man, I there was it's 30 minutes already, and we're here having fun and talking. We can spend an hour. I interviewed with Sarab on his podcast. It was just so much fun. So you can clearly see we connect. We're gonna be doing things together, and I'm super excited. And thank you so much for coming today. Before we close, because I know we have to do a little close here for the people who are on the fence about technology or tech sales in general. What do you recommend them to do? And just one or two advices here for us to close. Because you dropped a lot of good stuff already, so I don't even know if you can think about anything else. But hey, I think you can.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of advices, I already provided some of my perspective throughout this conversation. But at the same time, I would say that try to get inspired by people, including whatever we are saying here, but choose your own path. And you can only choose your own path when you are a thinker, when you understand what are your strengths and superpowers. So spend, I would say, one of the hacks, I would say, or what we are saying here is spend at least half an hour every day where you are not being distracted. Think about certain things which you have strengths, and one of the thing which I love, I read somewhere where people say, okay, everyone talk about strengths. How do I find my strengths? This is no one gives the answers. So one of the perspective here is if you don't know what are your strengths, see what are certain things which you do which exasperates other people.
Mm,
So which, for example, if I communicate pretty easily and people say, wow, I cannot do like that. And communication is certain one thing which I've never paid attention to personally. Then I would say, okay, which means that which is something coming naturally to me is tough for others. This
mm,
is one of the way to find your strengths. The other thing is constant feedbacks from people, which means people are the best way to hold the mirrors. So they
mm,
show you what are you good at. So these are some of the things you can try to find your strengths. Once you find your strengths, you know which direction you can take to make your resume and your presentations in front of the job opportunity much better, because people always think that what does this person is saying what he really believes or she
mm,
really believes in. So be yourself. This is exactly the definition of yourself, only when you know what are your trends and what your values and philosophies are. So again, spend at least 30 minutes in without distraction, wandering around and thinking, writing some notes. Eventually, you will be having much clarity in your mind and you know what you're talking about with conviction, with value, with attitude, but obviously with gratitude.
Wow, that was a mic drop. Everyone, this was it. This made my day. Having recording this podcast here. Seriously, everything resonates, and I agree, and super grateful that Saurabh Gupta here, everyone, gave us this wisdom. Love it. Connect with him on LinkedIn. Follow him. He does drop some really amazing. He talks about some things that he's achieving in his life as well. Great guy. It was awesome to have you today here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for kind words. And I really love our conversation today. So anyone who would like to reach out, yeah, you can reach out to LinkedIn. You can also see some of my podcast episodes, including Dayvisson, which was pretty good. And yeah, I'm looking forward for many conversations in the future, Dayvisson. And I
Thank
wish
you.
all the best for your podcast. And I really love your attitude of a fighter. And there's always a barter system in these conversations. And today I learned a lot from your life and reinforcement that we should having a positive attitude no matter what.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we crack the code and uncover the strategies to break into tech sales. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to hack their way into this exciting career. Remember, hacking into tech sales isn't just a goal, it's a mission. Let's keep hacking, learning, and winning together. Catch you next time.